is Monica from Run It Repeat, and I ran the Boston Marathon on Monday. You want to run a marathon? And wanted to do a quick race recap, and more than anything, just some quick thoughts on the course while it's still in my head movies and fresh because this just happened. And it's important to note because I ran about 30 marathons at this point, and I've done some hard courses for sure and some easy ones too, which I prefer, but I have never heard so many warning notes and strategy tips and rave reviews and just so much about the course in terms of elevation and how to really do well and not get your ass handed to you. So I wanted to note it because I went into it intimidated, and a lot of people say that running a marathon is 90% mental, and that's hard to keep a strong mental strategy when I just felt like a lot of people were warning me, don't go out too fast, you're gonna regret it, Heartbreak Hill, and all of this stuff made me very nervous going into the race. So I took some video along the course so you can check that out. It's gonna be a little wobbly, but I was running. Sometimes I was walking. And also I printed out the course map so I can remember just things to note because I wanna share this with you. The first thing about the Boston Marathon is it's a point-to-point course, which means it starts in one location and finishes about 26.2 miles away. So you have to take a bus to the start where you then hang out. And the race has a late start. So I caught a bus around 6 a.m. in Boston, and we went to the start, and you just hang out there in the Athletes Village for hours. My start time wasn't until 10:50 a.m. So you have plenty of time to just get more and more nervous and question whether or not you're ready and if you need to use the porta potty again, and I don't even know everything under the sun. So I had plenty of time. But I was running with Highlands, which was super awesome, and I was on a bus that I was able to hang out on and talk to people. So a lot of people on the bus had ran the race before, and we were just talking about previous race experiences and what they thought about the course and all of that. So that was awesome. Got a lot of last minute tips. You have to bring any fuel that you specifically need yourself. They have bagels and bananas and water in the Athletes Village where most of the runners are waiting until their start time. But if there's anything really specific you want, you need to bring that. And also, since you're waiting for a long time, you don't want to run through your whole phone battery, which I have been known to do. So bring either a mobile charger or magazines or something else so that you're not wasting your phone battery. I brought the program guide to finally look over the race a little bit. I ended up talking to people a lot, so I wasn't using my phone a ton. And yeah, I brought oatmeal and sunblock and all of that stuff. But finally, it was time to head to the start. And it's very, very exciting. The race is very well organized, so everything was on time. Tons of porta potties, tons of, whatever you needed in terms of like water, bananas, stuff like that. And then also on the way to the start line, it's a residential area, and there was a house that had some sunblock and safety pins. I think there was like duct tape. It was kind of like random last minute stuff that you needed before you actually got to the starting line. So it was very cool, and the crowd support was super awesome. So it started off very well. It felt waiting a long time, which we were, and it was a warm day, but it was very exciting. Into the start. Good morning from the Boston Marathon start line. It's finally time for my corral to start, so we are making our way. I've been on a bus since like 6 a.m. and it's 10. So hours and hours of waiting, anticipation, getting nervous. Let's do this. I'm in the start zone. It's very warm, but I'm excited and running in my weather from California. So I'm hoping I'll be okay. We'll see how it goes.
for the most part, it's been downhill for a little bit after 21, which is awesome. But I think I was running super tense because my neck and my shoulders are killing me. So I'm taking a walking break. Almost there. About 4 miles to go. Yeah. 22 and a half. Just finished. My watch says 3:58:12. Unofficial. Just crossed the line. The last mile was amazing. So much crowd support. Unlike anything else. I thought I was done, but it really pushed me. Just crossed the finish line of the Boston Marathon. My watch said 3:58:12. I don't know. I had the best time. I got my ass handed to me at times, and I loved it. It was the most awesome experience, and they so very like me. I'm gonna try, but I'm putting it together because I need to my stuff and a place to stay and some water. But yeah, I'm excited to give you a recap because I took a 10 minutes and it was the most awesome experience. If you were on the fence about trying to bus dress to qualify, do it. Or find a way to get there, fundraising, whatever, because it's so awesome. It's just so awesome.
After Wellesley, that's when you kind of have to get in the zone because between about 16 and 21, there are rolling hills. And that's the toughest part of the course. At that point, I was pretty tired. I felt, and this is kind of weird, like my neck and my shoulders were aching so bad, and I don't know why. I try to have good form and at least don't get tense in, my neck and shoulders when I'm swinging my arms when I'm running, especially a long run or a marathon. But it was so painful. It was so painful. It was like nothing I had felt before. I think it's kind of a combination of probably hanging out on the bus and laying weird, and I just have a lot of stuff going on at home that I'm dealing with that's kind of stressful. So I think that kind of came out during the race as well. I've probably just been carrying a lot of stress. So I walked a lot of the hills, at least the steepest parts, and tried to stretch while I was doing it, just like stretch my neck and my shoulders a little bit, because it was pretty unpleasant. And that also makes you more stressed when you're like, are the wheels falling off? Like, am I just falling apart here? What's going on? So I walked some of the hills. It is rolling hills. There's nothing super crazy steep, but it feels challenging, more challenging than if you were just kind of doing a run around that area of a couple miles because you're tired at this point. Luckily, there are a lot of crowds. And one of the things that I wanted to kind of highlight and share is that Heartbreak Hill isn't super steep. And you would think with a name like Heartbreak Hill, it's gonna be a hike. It's a hill, so it's an incline for sure. It comes at the end of the rolling hills in Newton, so at that point you're kind of done. It seems a lot steeper than it is, and it's long. It goes up for a while. Luckily, there's a ton of crowd support, so that is super awesome. But I did walk some of it. I think that it's a combination of just the timing of it. You have to make sure your fueling is on point, because this is where I personally, around 19, if I'm gonna hit a wall in a race, that's where I hit it. So making sure that you're well fueled, that you still have some, energy in the tank and energy in your legs, and you're in a good mindset, you could really still rock it out. After that, luckily, it's fairly downhill for a while. So, or at least through to the finish line. Not downhill in that you think I am flying, but there's not big hills anymore. So the hard part is done. And with all the crowd support, it is, I don't want to say easy, but it's possible to get in the zone and really run the last 4 miles super strong. And I wasn't having the best day, just because my neck, and I just felt like I was struggling in general. So I walked some of those hills, and I also kind of thought, I think that's all I have to give. I hope I don't have to walk the last 3 miles. Like, this is going to be really embarrassing. Just embarrassing for me because there's so many people out and they're like really cheering for you, and you feel like you're letting them down because I'm just like, oh, I need to walk, but like I feel bad, and it's just like this conflict kind of thing. So I was kind of struggling with that, worried because I thought I was done. But when you get close to, people talk about seeing the Sitco sign. I feel like that's when you know you're close to the end. I felt like it was still a ways away at that point. But when I was about 1.5 miles away from the finish line, I just really let the crowd energy just like fill me up and make me go. So the last mile, when I'm running, you know, I know like I'm getting close to Boylston, I'm getting close to the finish line. This is the most awesome part of the race. There are so many people out, they're cheering so loud. It's unlike anything I will ever experience in my life. And most people, you know, unless you're a rock star, like there are just people cheering like crazy, and it's such a legendary course, and you just know that you're running with people that have really worked so hard and take this very, you know, if not seriously, but at least really respect this race. And it was amazing. And I ran the last mile smiling, and I just suddenly felt I look a lot stronger in the last few pictures at the race than I felt, just because I really just like channeled all that energy, and it was awesome. And yeah, it was a super awesome race. It was a warm day, so that was something that I'm used to, but because it was a warm day plus it was late in the day, I just felt heavier than I would normally on a warm day. I like to run first thing in the morning, and I wouldn't say, if someone asked me about the Boston Marathon course, my first thought wouldn't be it's a hard course. That's not my first thought. I would warn them, and I think it's definitely consistent. Any race review or blog or whatever that you read about the course, it's pretty accurate. People say you start downhill, and you've got to save something for the hills towards the end. Totally on point for the most part, but just keeping it in perspective in terms of the difficulty of the hills. They're not that steep, which is what you kind of think with the naming of them, but it's just the timing. So making sure that you have the stamina and have the strength to bust that out when you've already been running, you know, for 16 plus miles is important. So yeah, I finished in 3:58 and 10 seconds, 3 hours, 58 minutes and 10 seconds, which is slower than I ran LA about a month ago. And I think that LA is almost a comparable course, but LA's hills are towards the beginning and the last 3 miles are pretty downhill. And I feel like they're downhill more than how Boston ends, but I did a lot better in LA, and I don't know if that's because of, you know, the timing of the race and the timing of the hills, and just being in Southern California, it's kind of hometown advantage. I was more used to the climate and the time zone and all of that, but it's a race to be respected, and it lives up to all of the reputation and hype and awesomeness and legends. Like, it was an amazing experience, and I want to talk about all my thoughts on that another time, but just give you my kind of in general thoughts on the course, because it was challenging because of the timing of the hills, but I wouldn't say that outright, like that's a hard course. That's not my first thing I would say, for sure. So yeah, I agree. You just have to run it smart. But I think the crowds were super awesome, and the runners were super awesome. Everything was super awesome. Everyone I met, and I think the entire actual race day experience was something that if you are gunning for Boston, and I still want to go for a BQ and just be able to know that I deserve to kind of stand with these people, I think that it is a really big deal and big honor to run this race, and I had a really good time. So more later. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.